Welcome to Coffee with the Mayor. I'm Deb Trelli, and we are broadcasting live from the top of Tampa Bay in beautiful downtown Oldsmar with our host, Oldsmar Mayor Eric Seidel. These segments are featured each Wednesday following an Oldsmar City Council meeting for the community. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Great. How are you?
I'm good.
I see we have a special guest.
We have a special guest with us this morning, and I was joking earlier that it's not surprising that we have him here on Cinco de Mayo.
Oh. Ole.
Ole. How are you guys? Good?
Good.
Great. So before we begin, we encourage our viewing audience to submit any questions they may have during the segment by commenting on our Facebook Live feed. We will do our very best to try to get your answers. But just in case we don't, you can always email Mayor Seidel directly at eseidel@myoldsmar.com regarding anything we discussed today. Coffee with the Mayor was developed by you to keep our residents, businesses, and community partners informed on highlights from last night's City Council meeting. Were there any interesting comments during Citizens Open Forum?
Sure there were. There always is.
Always.
Hey, let me do this since he is sitting here, and we're going to get to him in a minute, but I do want to introduce our guest, Doug Beavis, who's the Director of Business and Governmental Affairs with the Chamber and former mayor, of course. So welcome.
Welcome, Doug.
Thank you.
And
Good to be here.
And he's got that radio voice.
Radio voice.
So we're saving him to close the show with. Yeah, so there was some comments last night, one in particular talking about what's going on with the theater district, specifically the Black Box Theater. And so someone came and Pam Settle came and she's done more research on some of the needs in the area, talking about potential size of what that theater might look like. And so I think it was good information. And, it's one of those things for where we're at right now. We're in negotiations on the property. So I'm probably more focused on that, and we'll get to the theater part, assuming that we get a deal done.
Got it.
So, but it was good. There was also something else at the beginning of the meeting. I think most people heard about it, that on Monday, of course, the governor signed Executive Order 21-102. And in essence, what it did is it established kind of a timeline for all other executive orders on the local level to terminate. And Pinellas County, we were on the phone yesterday with Barry Burton, who is our county administrator, doing a terrific job. And he shared with us, which they later came out and announced, that they have rescinded the executive orders and emergency orders that they had in place.
Oh, my.
And so the net effect of that is, it's probably the most significant, of course, is it changes the requirements and no longer makes it mandatory to wear a mask. And so as a city, what we're doing, we are embracing that order, and we're saying to folks, we no longer required to wear a mask in a building, a city building, but if you certainly are encouraged to do so, whatever you feel most comfortable with. And that doesn't have an impact on our local businesses. That's up to them, to each individual business. So it was a pretty big move yesterday that took place.
Yes, it was. Exciting.
Yeah, and if I could interject, I experienced it myself. A lot of these businesses are corporate out of state. And so I went to the gym yesterday, and they have not rescinded it yet. So in some businesses, you may still have to require a mask because that's their corporate policy. So Be respectful of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So 2 proclamations were presented to the community last night. One was for Drinking Water Week, which is May 2nd and through the 8th, and that was presented by Councilmember Graber. And the other was for Teacher Appreciation Week, which is May 3rd through the 7th, and that was presented by Vice Mayor Knapp, a former Oldsmar owl from Oldsmar Elementary himself. And he seemed excited about that.
Actually, I presented the Teachers Appreciation.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Knapp was on there later, so we'll get to him.
His diploma.
That's it. He was on there. We had him in there doing his thing. But yeah, it was great. It's important to bring attention to certain needs in the community, certain weeks. And of course, proclamations are an official act, right? Yes. And so it officially recognizes either an event or a topic or a group, and where we officially name the week after it. And of course, different organizations, the proclamation becomes part of their events, right? So the There'll be a lot of other events surrounding those two. Drinking water, of course, making sure we have safe drinking water. We certainly know about that here in Oldsmar.
Yes,
It's important
we do.
to us, of course. And then Teacher Appreciation Week. We had for the drinking water, we had the water gang out from our utilities, and they all came out, and it was good to have them out there. They're just hardworking folks. And then we also had Oldsmar Christian out, elementary, and then we had Oldsmar Elementary out. So it was nice to recognize them. Certainly, teachers nowadays, with all they've been through and the extra effort they have to put in,
Definitely.
it was good. And then we had kind of a surprise. Chris Settle, of course, is the assistant principal over in Dunedin. He happened to be there, so we managed to give him a proclamation to take care of our friends over there. So it was good.
One of our sister cities. That's
That's
nice.
it.
Oh, the Ordinance Review Committee members were recognized as well last night by, correct me if I'm wrong, Vice Mayor Knapp,
Now you got
Okay.
it. All right.
for their contributions towards their hard work. And as we discussed last time, this group technically meets every 5 years to provide feedback to council on suggestions to our ordinances. How many members are on the committee?
There's 7 members on the committee, and they've worked really hard. So I'm glad that Councilmember Knapp recognized them last night with our city manager, city council award. It was nice to have them all there. It's a tough job.
Yeah, it's hard work.
It's a lot of hard work. If you can imagine the number of ordinances that we accumulate over time, they actually have to go through all of them.
Oh, my.
And so they did a terrific job. There was 11 meetings that they had where they put a lot of hours into it and a lot of research. So it was good to recognize them for their hard work.
Good.
And yeah, it's
And
nice.
so there were actually a few public hearings for first readings on the ordinances. There was 2021-6, 7, and 8. And do you mind giving a brief overview of these for our audience?
Sure. Some of these ordinances, as you'll see, we literally have hundreds of them that we're going to get through, right? So what we're doing is we're taking them methodically through a process because, of course, I think I mentioned this last week or 2 weeks ago. They all have to be advertised.
Right.
They have 2 readings. So it's a process. It's a process. So one of the ordinances really was kind of dealing with a little bit of housekeeping. One was on our annexations that we do and adding a requirement when someone annexes in that they connect to our sewer system, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? And then there was one that had to do with taking a stronger stance on the prevention of human trafficking, specifically adding a requirement that anyone who comes in for a license goes through a special program. And the council decided not to keep that recommendation because our county does that. And the county is equipped to do those types of things. There was also a requirement about posters and that type of stuff. And as a city, we're not really equipped to stay on top of that. So that was
So obviously there'll be more review items coming forward.
yes, a lot more,
Oh, yeah.
a lot more.
Well, are there any other key items or actions from the council meeting?
Yeah, I think so. Just a couple of announcement stuff, really. First off, do you know what week it is in addition to the one we mentioned earlier? And I
do.
cannot believe, here is, yeah, here is a great example of how our clerk's office is so unselfish, right? Because they're the ones who kind of facilitate proclamations getting done and timeliness of it and all that kind of stuff. They keep us all organized. And this week is Professional Municipal Clerks Week. And so do you think they did a proclamation for
No.
themselves? Of course not.
No, they're so modest.
They are. So Ann Nixon, our clerk, who does an amazing job, and our deputy clerk, Kathy Horvath. I mean, all of them, both of them really do a terrific job.
True.
And so I'm taking them to lunch with me today.
Oh, that's so nice of you.
Yeah, we're going down to
Give them my best.
We're going to the Pinellas County's Mayor's Council luncheon.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to show off our clerks, and there you go.
Hey.
So that's going on. The other thing that I thought I'd mention before we shift into a little bit of time with our guest is that I know I've been asked this by quite a few folks, and that is when we were going to go back to regular library hours. And so we've decided that May 17th we'll be returning back to regular hours.
I need to make a note of that.
Yeah, so it'll be good. It'll be really good. So that's kind of a quick summary. We try to keep it short and to the point in here. Get to our guests.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
So our guest, past mayor, Mr. Radio. I hear you might be going back on the radio. Is that happening?
It might be going back on the radio, yes.
No.
So hopefully some paperwork will be done in the next 2 weeks or so when we get together. So
Well, good.
yeah, I don't know what it means and what time, but yeah, it'll be on WQIK.
Country?
Yeah, country.
We'll be listening. We'll be listening. So, hey, listen, before we get into the upcoming event, talk about Oldsmar Days.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was a lot of work. Had the governor done this, rescinding the ordinance and the executive order a week earlier, we would have probably been a lot happier. But it went well. We had probably 7,000 people over the weekend, and of course,
Not all at once.
Not all at once. We committed to the number is 1,000, but we committed to 800 because of vendors and volunteers. We went over it a little bit on Friday. We went to like 840, but for a very brief period, and it basically says no major deviation from your plan, and 40 people is not really a major deviation.
Yeah,
so.
and I'll tell you what, the feedback out there, first off, it was a terrific weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, the chamber does an amazing job. The city and our citizens were so hungry for it. And we all wanted to get out. The weather was beautiful, great music. And it's funny, the change that was made to have tables and chairs versus the traditional open field. And I think everybody really liked it.
It was a hit. We weren't sure, and we were standing there, as part of the committee, looking at it and said, "This really works," as opposed to that big tent in the middle that we used to have, and people could spread out, and it was just a different vibe. We didn't, of course, have the carnival, but that will be back at our future events. But I did not see or hear one negative comment from anybody on Facebook or social media, and they're quick to do that if they want to. And Jeff from the Beacon wrote a great article about it, and
he did.
It was really good. Got a great picture of you and your lovely wife in the parade, so it was great. So it was. I said this to somebody. It was kind of like somebody sucked that whole year and a half out, and we were right back where we needed to be. And
Didn't miss a beat.
Didn't miss a beat.
Didn't miss a beat.
It was great.
It was it really was an amazing weekend, and the chamber deserves a lot of gratitude from our citizens and the city. The city's a partner in it, but certainly, they run the show.
Yeah.
And they did a great job, and the parade was terrific.
Yeah, it was
lots of fun.
Yeah, we had a huge float in there, which we've never had before. So
that was kind of interesting.
And I got to say thanks to the volunteers, because we're a very small staff at the chamber, and we wouldn't be able to pull these off without all the great volunteers that we have. So
great,
and
great
the city
work.
staff. The city staff did well. So.
Yeah, they were out there helping and keeping things going. And I spoke to the deputies afterwards, and they said that we had no issues all weekend long as it related to any kind of problems or anything, like just people enjoying themselves. So, hey, listen, let's touch on another subject real quick. Most probably don't know this, but the city and the chamber does a monthly program called We Mean Business. Want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, it started years and years ago, where basically the mayor, yourself at this time, or past mayors, the city manager or assistant city manager, and a couple representatives from the chamber, and we go meet 2 or 3 businesses, depends on the extent. Sometimes manufacturing, we're there a little bit longer, and we've done everything from a pawn shop to medical tubing and everything in between, and it's really great. We always leave those, and you know this because you've done them. You leave those and you go, wow, that's right here in our city, and it's just amazing, and they really appreciate. We're not there to write any violations. We're really there to find out why they're there and what they love about Oldsmar, what we could do better, and things like that. And everybody seems to say the location is really the key to Oldsmar, and of course the city staff. But it's really great. We've had some very interesting ones over the years, for sure.
It is funny because we always talk about this after we've gone out visiting businesses, and it's where we're like, wow, I didn't know that was being built here in Oldsmar.
Right.
A lot of people don't realize we have over 100 manufacturers here in Oldsmar. Makes us second only to the city of Largo in terms of the number of manufacturers.
Right, yeah.
And we manufacture everything here, from the medical tubing that goes into health devices to the massive assembly machines, packaging machines.
If you ever watch how it was made, and,
Right.
and that's a key one. The yogurt machine, like how it assembles the thing. The machines are made right here in Oldsmar, and it's incredible. They're like 50, 60 feet long, so it's incredible.
It is pretty incredible. And it's funny. It's nice to go in there, meet the owners, and they get the cell phone numbers to the city manager, to the mayor.
Yep.
Look, we want to help you be successful here, and they all seem to really appreciate it. And the chamber does a good job at setting those up. So talk about the event coming up on May 15th.
The job fair. Actually, that came from, the job fair came from a We Mean Business visit. We went to Cypress Golf, a construction company right there at Forest Lakes and 580, and they were really struggling to get employees. And so while we were there, it just dawned on me, why don't we have a job fair? And so we have done that, and it's May 15th from 1 to 4 at the Oldsmar Sports Complex. It's on the outdoor street hockey arena, so we should have plenty of room. Right now we're at about 30 vendors and probably 400 plus jobs.
Wow.
And everything from, something that a high school child could do or student could do, which is being a zip line tour guide, to professional, things, medical field. So, and everything in between, sales, hotels, everybody is really struggling to find employees. So we hope it's going to be a great success. So we're planning on maybe 50 total employees or employers.
Yeah,
including the city.
Yeah, the city. We're looking for some folks as well. Yeah. And we hear it from businesses. I was out at one of the local restaurants a week or two ago, and they weren't taking any more folks in, and it wasn't because they didn't have seats. They just didn't have the staff to serve, and they didn't want to risk it being a bad experience for their guests.
Well, that came at speaking of Oldsmar Days, we had to cancel Wing Wars because exactly that. The restaurants can't find the employees to run the restaurant, much less send people out to market, and you don't want to have a bad experience. So hopefully we'll get through this and people will start to get back to work. But it's not just local in Oldsmar, it's all over the country.
Yeah, it's happening a lot. And I think when we were at Cypress that day, he told us he could hire 30 people right then.
Right then.
And here's the thing that I'd say to all of our citizens. If you know someone looking for a job, tell them to get out there on the 15th.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great event. We're bringing it local. For the most part, it's all local jobs.
Yeah.
So you don't have to deal with the commute and that kind of stuff.
Lockheed Martin is on board, and a lot of our manufacturers, MI Metals, who was one that we did a We Mean Business to, Cypress Golf, like you indicated, and then the hotels, the restaurants, and retail, and everybody is really clamoring to get some help.
Well, is there anything else, any other chamber news you want to share?
Let's see. Well, and if you do want to be a part of that, utbchamber.com is the way to get to it. Go to our calendar page, or they can email me. Obviously, it's all over social media. And so we're excited about it. We're excited about moving forward with events, I think, with this new thing. The next project, obviously, is going to be Oktoberfest. And then we're working with the city on Celebrate Oldsmar and being a part of that, the chamber being a part of that. And it will include a parade and fireworks and things like we normally do. So, and we're working on something, I don't know, cat out of the bag, can I say? We're working with the city.
Because you heard it right here first on Coffee with the Mayor.
We're looking at, since they pulled the executive order back, which really restricted access to things, is doing a second Friday here in Oldsmar, right on State Street. And so that will be great, especially exposure for the downtown area that you're obviously pushing to get going. So those are some of the things that are going on at the chamber. Plus, we continue to do our regular meetings that we do with our businesses. So that's the important part, is the business relationship, great business relationship.
Yeah. Well, you guys do a great job, and we appreciate you. I'm glad you could come here on the show. Hey, just a couple of things before we wrap up. This Friday, movie in the park.
What is it?
So come out and enjoy Lion King.
Oh, nice.
Lion King will be out there.
You dressing up? Or are you going to dress up?
No, but they do. They do allow golf carts out there, and come on out with the family. It'll be a nice time. It starts at 7 p.m. at Orioles Park, and then we also have the Bob Seymour Jr. Memorial Kids Fishing Tournament, and that's Saturday, May 15th. But it's at 8 a.m. So you could take the kids out at 8 a.m. for fishing, and go get them jobs in the afternoon at the fair. What do you? No, that probably doesn't work.
And I know Bob. I knew Bob Seymour. He was a great fisherman and a great advocate of the kids, and it's great to see his name tied to that.
Yeah. And so, and just one last thing, I wanted to say thank you to all the folks who participated in our annual recycling day. Nice. We collected 7,700 pounds of paper that we shredded, and electronics like 2,400 pounds, and almost 45 pounds of medication that needed to be properly disposed. So
that's the big one, is the medication.
It's the medication, yeah, because it goes somewhere. It goes in our water supply and so forth.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Did you have something else to add?
We do. We have a question from the community.
Okay, fire away.
Okay, so Savior Rains would like to know, when is all Arields Park, or when is the pier at Arields Park opening up completely?
Yeah, you know what? Not soon enough, I can tell you that. I've explained this a couple of times, but not everybody hears the message at the same time. So we have to go through a process that is for transparency reasons. When we have a major purchase, we have certain purchases policies. And first, it's a matter of advertising for somebody to go look at it, and we have to advertise for bids, and then we have to go through the selection process, which is the reason it's taken so long, because the cost of fixing it is going to be fairly substantial. So I know they're working on it now. We're moving as fast as we can through the process. As a matter of fact, we had a little bit of discussion about whether or not we should reevaluate that policy for special high-use amenities or assets. And so I think the city manager is looking at a way to try to accelerate that type of thing in the future. But it's being worked on aggressively and actively. Just know that it'll be open as soon as possible. I wish I had a firm date, but I don't.
Yeah.
And it is open, correct? But just not all the way to the end.
The landing at the very end is still remaining closed from the damage that it took on during the tropical storms.
So they can still fish off the sides.
They can fish, and if they can cast really good. No, probably not. Probably not. All right. So I think by the looks of things, we're at like 20 minutes, and I am out of coffee.
Uh-oh.
And so you know what that means. That means it's time to go. Hey, thanks for coming out, Doug. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Dub and Mark, who is always our engineer behind the scenes. To all of our citizens, we appreciate you listening. We hope you got something out of it. And have a great day. We'll see you next time.